Hey, you guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Trey, and let's talk about The Crow because The Crow came out over the weekend, and oh, wait, to nobody's surprise, it was horrible. But who could have guessed it? Oh, right, anybody with a working brain. We all knew it was going to be hot trash, and yet y'all continue to do it in the first place. Do you not understand? Like, read the room. Like, at some point you gotta say self, was this the best decision, whether it's for right holders or whatever? At least if you're gonna do this kind of stuff, at least try to make it something like The Crow, because it didn't look like The Crow, it didn't feel like The Crow at all. And then when your fans, again, once again, when people saw the trailer and saw the reaction, and nobody learns from Sonic the Hedgehog, like how we were like, no, this looks like dog doo doo. Change it. It is not that hard to do. The Crow. It's really not. Me and my grandma, we had watched The Crow recently, and we enjoyed the movie. We enjoyed the atmosphere, the gothic 90 punk look of the city, the down dreary black sheep. And honestly, that's all you had to do. What was so hard about that? Why couldn't you do that? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm asking for is like, okay, you do realize y'all could have easily just did The Crow and maybe like do like a darker, grittier, R-rated version of the Brandon Lee movie, the cult classic. It's a cult classic for a reason. People love that The Crow movie. It sucks that Brandon Lee had to die for it, but it's a good movie. People enjoyed it, and you had an opportunity to do something close. This reminds me of the reboot of Devil May Cry, but they call it DMC, right? Where they got rid of the long hair, they got rid of the gothic, the personality, and then they changed everything around about the character, and then got mad that people didn't like it. Like, but I'm quite sure if people watch the movie, they'd be like, "Oh, well, it has its few ups and downs or whatever." And honestly, when I was looking at the trailer, I didn't know it was Crow. I thought it was a character that came from the John Wick universe. You get what I'm saying? So honestly, you could have easily turned this into something completely different. I wouldn't even have called it The Crow. Honestly, we would have figured out a way to redo scenes without The Crow. We would have figured out something else, and we just would have made it a brand new hero or anti-hero, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't care what you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? Because this didn't make sense. It didn't work. It didn't work. And now Hollywood is like confused that people didn't like it. Really? Are you confused that people didn't like it? I could have told you nobody was gonna like it because it just didn't make sense. It is pathetic, and it's awful. You know, people were like, "What in God's name?" You know, happened. And on top of that, when we saw Bill Skarsgård makeup, everybody was like, no. And instead of changing the look, the feel, it's the same thing that goes back to I remember when Margot Robbie did the test screening, the test costuming for Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, and the Fabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn. When she showed what the character was going to look like in the movie, people said no. And this was before the movie was filmed. This was the shot of what they think the character should look like, and how they were feeling for the movie or whatever. It's the same thing. When we first saw the first look before the movie was even filmed, everybody said no. And instead of y'all listening to that, y'all said, hey, let's continue bump what the audience is saying. And now what? You just thought what we were going to just be like, hey, let's watch it. Like, honestly, The Crow is hot garbage, you know. And of course, there are some people in the media trying to shield for it, but for the most part, the audience thought it was dreary. That it was boring. It was a soulless remake. It was a slog to get through. People are literally like, trashing the movie. Now, some people are saying that the soundtrack is great. I haven't heard the soundtrack, so I can't really say anything about the soundtrack. But what I can say about the movie is that it didn't feel like The Crow. It felt like a John Wick movie where he's in the John Wick universe, but this guy can heal himself. That's what it felt like. It felt like that kind of movie, if that makes sense. And I know that's probably not what they're going for, but honestly, at this point, it felt like it was a dull, lifeless, meaningless remake that went nowhere. It didn't say anything. And that's the problem. It didn't say anything. It didn't differentiate itself from The Crow. It didn't make you want to, you know, get invested into The Crow at all. Honestly, I'd rather you guys just watch the sequel movies from The Crow. Yes, The Crow do have sequel movies, and they're not all that well, well liked. But hey, this is what they wanted. You know what I mean? And all it does is just remind us of like the brilliant actor and potential of Brandon Lee that we lost tragically in this movie when we could have. I don't know. It's kind of hard to put in words because is it's kind of crazy because people want to do things with the Crow, and one of my friends suggested that they could do an anthology series maybe, and I said that could probably work, but the problem is with being a cult classic with such a tragedy happening with Brandon Lee, why this movie, why the original Crow movie is still intriguing, why people um like the Crow, even though they haven't really done much with the Crow in years, is because of the performance that we were given in the Crow by Brandon Lee, if that makes sense. I know it's kind of really hard to kind of like talk about it, but it's kind of like, damn, anytime you bring up the Crow, you cannot not think of Brandon Lee, which also cannot make you which kind of make you think about Bruce Lee. You just like the tragedy of both of those people dying so young while doing the thing that they love, you know what I'm saying? Um and then just get this remake, it feels like you just said, "Hey, Brandon, what?" Had to, like you spit in his face just to what, do a cash grab that a lot of people don't like. People didn't like this movie, and it could have been something. It could have been something if you went back, listened to the criticism, or you change this title to something else. I understand that companies have need to make movies or shows because of the rights retainer or whatever. But at this point, I'd rather you had lost the rights to the character than to drag out the Crow and then give a filthy, ugly remake to it. And that's the sad thing, because it should never have been. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Did you guys go and see the Crow remake? Are you guys excited for the Crow remake? Did any of you guys watch the original Crow movie? Did you watch the other sequels? Did you read the book? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.